Hi everyone, it's Ileana, and I have a card to share with you today. I'm going to be working with some Altenew products. I'm going to start with the Persian motifs and a sentiment from the painted butterfly stamp set. I'm going to center my focal point using my transparency. It's a free download that you can get from my website. I'll be sure to post a link with it below. And I'm just going to count the squares on either side of the stamp just to make sure that it's centered. And I'm going to do the same thing with my sentiment down below. This is just a simple card, not anything fancy, and the image itself is quite elegant, and so I just wanted to color it in very simply. Once I've centered my sentiment, I'm just going to stamp it onto the front of some Bristol cardstock. This is just a panel. I had changed my mind about the cardstock I wanted to use, and so I cut down a piece of the Bristol paper, and I used my stitch rectangles from Lawn Fawn to do that. I've used Versamark to stamp my image, and it's the clear sticky ink so that my silver embossing powder will stick to it. And I'm just going to sprinkle the powder on and then tap the excess off. I did use an embossing buddy from Scrap Perfect to remove any static from the front of my card. And once it's all embossed, I'm going to flip my Mini Misty over, and I'm just going to use the magnets to hold it down because I did use a heat tool. The card's a little bit warped, and so the magnets will help hold it down. I'm using my Zig Clean Water markers. I think that's what they're called. I'm using the Persian green to start coloring, and I'm just putting a little bit of color down where I think the darkest part of the image is going to be, and then I just use my water brush to spread the color around. I found that the Bristol paper works the best with these markers. And then I just wipe off the excess of the paint onto a little towel that's right next to me. I've sped this up quite a bit so that it wouldn't take so long, but you could use regular watercolors to color this in, or you could use some Inktense pencils, you could use colored pencils, and if you stamp it out first with maybe some gray ink, some Memento gray ink, you could Copic color it, and then you can go back and add your Versamark and do your heat embossing over it so it's easier to color. But I wanted to use my Zig markers because I haven't used them very much lately, and so I just wanted to get a little more familiar with it. So I've colored the entire image, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do another layer of coloring. And for some reason, this one little spot of this leaf, every time I blend the color, it looks a little brown. And so I kind of mess with it quite a bit. And then finally I just give up and just accept that that's just the color it's going to turn out. And it's okay because it's nature, and nature is not perfect. And what I did was I went back with my colors, and I just added a tiny bit more just to add a little bit of dimension to the image. So I just go add a tiny bit of color, and then I spread it around. I did find that with the Zig, you have to spread the water across the entire portion of the picture, or else you get a harsh line or a watermark where the color dries. And I'm just taking a look to see if I'm happy with the color, and it dries rather quickly. And so here I'm going to go back and add a little bit more color to that center part, just so that it is a little more intense there. And once I'm completely done, I'll go back and remove any of the harsh lines. So I haven't given up yet on this leaf. You see me mess with it one more time before the end of the video, but I just thought that the leaf was still a little bit too light for the blue of the flower. Okay, now that all my coloring is dry, I'm going to take my clear Wink Stella and I'm just going to put a little bit of clear shimmer onto the card. And because there is liquid in the Wink Stella, it does activate the color, and so what I'm doing is that I'm just doing a little bit at a time and then cleaning off the tip of my brush to make sure that I'm not spreading around the color where I don't want it. And I just want to make sure that I haven't missed a spot, and so I'm just picking up my project and I'm just tilting it a little bit so that I could see the shimmer. And I missed a little bit of the stem that was right up at the very top, and so I'm just adding a little bit of color and then continue on with my Wink Stella. And the brush of the Wink Stella is really fine, so you can get into those nice thin lines without going over. And it's going to add just a little bit of a shimmer. It's not going to cover up the color. It just adds a little bit of the shine to it. Now that it's dry, I'm going to add it to my card panel, and I'm just going to press it down with my bone folder so that it's nice and flat. And because it's a top folding card, sometimes you get a little bit of fraying on the card, and so I just use the end of my bone folder to press them back in. I added a lot of adhesive because the cardstock did get heat embossed and there was some moisture, and so I want to make sure that it's going to lay flat. And I'm just going to use the corner of my MISTI so that I could just butt it up against the end. And now that it's completely done, I'm going to add a couple of sequins. I should say 3 sequins. And I'm just using my Crystal Katana to adhere my sequence with some multi-matte medium. And with that, my card is complete, and I'm just going to bring you a little bit closer to it so that you could hopefully get a little glimpse of the shimmer. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and head on over to the blog for more information about the products that were used in this video. Thanks again. I hope you have a great day.